apart from the large initiatives which Raj spoke and what it was outlined today by Ajay and also the three state governments, I also want to point out I want to take this forum to point out there are some real concerns on a day-to-day operations. For example, I don't think government still has understood how a fabless company operates. So, for example, to me, to get a custom clearance for a wafer, we have to manufacture wafers from Taiwan or China, and it takes a while to come. Just to get this custom clearance, it takes a while. Your customer is waiting there to see the results of your product. And if I go back to that customer and say it's going to take me 10 days to have a custom clearance, it doesn't send any good image compared to a company in Singapore or Korea or Taiwan. So I think it's very important that our government first understands the basic problems of the entrepreneurs in the fabless space and really clear out all these obstacles. Today we are solving this by starting subsidiaries outside of India. I'm very sad that we have to do this. So it's very important government spends really some time to understand the day-to-day problems of us and clears it out as quickly as possible. Apart from definitely, we welcome all the major initiatives that the folks spoke in the morning. The second other important thing, which is again I want to it again relates to the government's lack of understanding probably about the size of fabless companies or the electronic companies. A fabless company with around 200 to 300 people can get a very good exit even as an IPO. A fabless company with 200 can really exit maybe at a $300 million kind of IPO. It's very possible. So at that size, you're starting with 10 people, growing to 200 people in 50 or maybe 5 years. It doesn't make sense for companies like us to go into SEZ. So SEZ is very expensive for us to enter. IT industry was largely benefited by STPI, where you got a lot of tax benefits, and that's no more there. Semiconductor industry is very novice. We are just starting, and we can't move into SEZ because it is really done for large companies. So we are just left behind. So it's very important government again spends a lot of time understanding what is the needs of fabless industry and create policies to suit us and encourage us. If these basics are not done, I'm not even sure the large policies will be of big benefit. So I also hope, apart from the large initiatives, they spend time in understanding these day-to-day problems and create an infrastructure or a platform to help the entrepreneurs here.
Far be it from me to decide what Indian policy is, but one thing, it's leveling the playing field. Because if we look at all the other countries, the US is doing it with tax advantages. China is doing it through preferred areas of growth, whereby they're encouraging local players to enter, giving them tax advantages, giving them land, giving them grants. It's also preventing foreign companies from coming into some of those areas, such as telecommunication freely. Israel's doing it through the Office of Chief Scientist, which is a grant for early startups, being repaid once the company is making profit. So all these are in places in other countries. It's not that I think the forum here is asking for anything that doesn't exist in other places.
So Andy, keeping it with you right now, with your international experience, and I know you have been coming to India for quite some time now, and I've been hearing you've been hunting for some companies as well. What are some of the unique characteristics or advantages that Indian companies have, or even Indian entrepreneurs have, that can be given to an M&A or potentially any kind of acquisition from foreign investors or foreign acquirers?
Sure. I think when I look at any industry as an investment banker, we sort of say, okay, a couple of buckets. What's on the talent front? How does it fare on the cost? Innovation is a key part. Obviously, barriers to entry. And one of the most important points, I think, is trust. Certainly, if I'm looking at India, there's an abundance of talent. Now, it's interesting because that talent is actually, a lot of it's coming out of in multinational companies. So it's people that are familiar with the work processes which don't exist in other areas. I've seen too many startups, they've been successful. It's only actually when they're acquired and they've spent the 3, 4, 5 years in Texas Instruments or other multinationals that they really get the experience level. You guys are starting from day one with that bucket, and it's significant. Costs, India is significantly still at an advantage. Costs are creeping up across the globe, but you can still be competitive where they are. And again, if I look at the various buckets, the US is clearly one of the highest and most expensive markets to operate. If we were talking semiconductors to develop new chips, we're talking to 50 to 100 million. In India, costs are much lower still, certainly on the variable costs. China, prices have been coming up, and on the low end, I think you're starting to see there, it's hurting the local industries there as multinationals start to look to Vietnam and other low-cost areas. Israel would be another bucket. Their talent is expensive. They are successful, but they're successful because of an ability to be innovators, which is the other key bucket. The US has been successful in innovation, but they are residing where the market is, so easier for them. It's a big TBD to be defined how innovative the industry will be here. They have the capability to be extremely innovative. I'm not sure how big a leap of faith or how far or how high they will aim with the new companies. Trust is extremely important, and that really differentiates the Indian landscape. Multinationals are here. They're not here to capture the market. They're here because they've got talent, and they're here because they can trust that talent. They're in China, but in China there's a constant fear that every employee at the end of the day is going to take a discount key and walk out with all my technology. I'm in China because I want access to that local market. Here, that point is really something which differentiates you. Language isn't a barrier. Multinationals constantly come through these areas and they feel very comfortable operating here. They've got a lot of their manpower, a lot of their key developments done here. So that's really something where I'd say you're able to differentiate yourself and take advantage of it.
Okay, Roger or Geni, if you'd like to add anything?
Yeah, I'll just add to the last thing that Andy said. Companies go to China because there is access to market. Now, hopefully, with all the demand shooting up, India can actually bring in both the combination. Has a good pool of talent, as well as provides that access to crucial market. Which again is an instrument of the government policy. They are creating certain, PMA measures where value-added, development done within the country will have, will be suitably rewarded. So from that point of view, I'm just saying that the advantage just adds up, and it's time for, that action to begin.
Okay. So using the theme of access to market, Geni, in your experience, what should the business model be in terms of just from an early stage startup to a potential exit? Should it be one of, and Andy commented a little bit on this, should it be just one on price? Should it be a company that is focusing on cutting edge technology for a global market? Or should it be just basically the state of course service economy? Or should it be a hybrid model? In today's climate?
Briefly, so I'm sure you want to hear other members of the panel. I'd say price, you heard me very clearly, that's not an area you should compete on. On the strategy, I've seen both here. I've seen very successful groups of engineers, entrepreneurs starting companies. They haven't got financing, they've gone through the service route. They're not seeing this as a long-term strategy. It's merely an interim financing process, and from day one, they're practically thinking, okay, what products will we develop? I think it's been successful. It has a potential of being successful. Entrepreneurs, if they are successful in developing their own product, they certainly get to a finishing line owning a lot more equity. They've had fun on the way, and they've been successful. As long as you don't get caught up in the, I apologize, but the emphasis or the IT service model. That's something I don't think is scalable, but certainly using that as a bootstrap is something which is legitimate. Those that have been able to achieve finance, obviously from day one, can aim high. One thing I can guarantee you, I'm here as an investment banker, you heard Lipul this morning and others, financing will come. People, once more successes, kudos to Gani and others, people will see you can make money here. And at the end of the day, that's what will drive it. And money will come. And in the end, you will find instead of you having to rush after VCs, they'll be knocking on your door.
Gani, please.
So the three option, Vishal, you gave is service model, cutting edge products for global markets, and compete on price. So I'll go bottoms up. So first is service model. Do we ignore service model? And I think that the answer to that is clear no. In fact, we need to continue to expand on the services business. And the reason for that is couple. One is services business employs a large number of people. So the country continuously starts producing highly qualified, trained engineers who eventually will scale up the value chain. If you look at Taiwan, if you look at Korea, of course China, all started with manufacturing as services and then went on to create their own brands. Taiwan started as a laptop manufacturing facility. They have their own brand, IESA, Asus, etc. Right? So similarly, if you look at a manager in Wipro or a Mindtree, my belief is their understanding of the market would be very rich because they speak to several clients around the industry and they pretty much understand the business plans of Qualcomm, TI, ARM, or any other company, or the roadmap of those companies. So as an industry trends, with a services company, it's very rich. You kind of understand the entire industry trends, etc. So you need to continue to focus on service. It's very helpful in terms of producing quality engineers and also understanding the entire market. Second is, do you do cutting-edge products for global markets? I think Raj already spent a lot of time why we should do it, and it's absolutely important. India is very well known for services. It's high time that we start producing cutting-edge products for global markets. In our own company, we do products where we solve some problems which we believe cannot be solved outside or is going to take some time to solve, and sell those ICs in China today. So we will continue to do this, and it's very important that we focus on this innovation as a theme. It just lifts the country's brand image and also kind of, to some extent, helps us to build, because country already has a services mindset. Okay, that few cutting-edge products only will help our ESDM industry. The final point, compete on price. Andy very rightly articulated that we should not take the path of competing on price, and we don't want to fall in that trap. But on the other hand, I think it's very important that we make customization for local market. A company in Israel, for example, they can make highly innovative product, but they don't have a local market. But we are very advantaged that we have a large local market, and it's very important that we make products which are customized for local market, and thereby you get a premium. What I mean is, if a market made for Western market has a lot of functions, you want to take it and customize it here, thereby the AUP drops, but you still can retain the profitability, but it is easier to reach out to a large number of people in the bottom of the pyramid. You want to take advantage of it. You don't compete on price, but you take advantage of the local market, which is not there in several of the Western countries or the European countries or countries like Israel, which we have, and then make the modifications to lower the price, but not on the profitability, etc. So this is the three areas.
Okay, thank you again. So let's move on to I think the more important thing is financing. Every startup requires three main ingredients. One is talent, technology, and capital. So talent and technology can only take you to a certain level. Capital is a key ingredient. And if I look at the startup financing ecosystem, you have angels, you have venture, you have perhaps mezzanine, and then hopefully for an exit, either an IPO or an acquisition. Raj, you touched a little bit about about angels. I know you've been very active as an angel investor. What are the appetite for angel investments for a company that's purely doing R&D?